Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says Cabinet has approved $35 million for relief for families affected by last week's flooding. The Office of Disaster Preparedness on Monday indicated that they had so far received some 1,980 reports of people affected by flood damage. The Prime Minister said before leaving the country on Tuesday for Belize, he asked the acting Prime Minister Colm Imbert to ensure Cabinet approved the funding.
$1 million for immediate assistance to persons who have been affected in the various areas. How that is handled, the Ministry of Social Development and other agencies will go into the areas now that the water is draining off, will assess what happened, see who is qualified for assistance, and make that assistance available to those persons. So that has been done today, and this is the work now with the Ministry of Social Development and the local government bodies.
And the Prime Minister says there seems to be a flawed perception by the opposition and some citizens as it relates to the specific role of a Prime Minister in responding to instances of natural disaster. His comment comes following heavy criticism for his response to incidents of flooding over the past week, which have affected hundreds of citizens nationwide. The Prime Minister says instead of making the matter into a political one, citizens must be made aware of how action is delegated. Janine Brown tells us more.
Speaking at a press briefing at the Piarco International Airport on Thursday, moments after returning from Belize, where he attended the 4th CARICOM-Mexico Summit, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said opposition critics who have accused him of passing the blame to the ODPM for poor relief efforts do not seem to understand how the system works.
The job that I have, I understand that role. I am the head of the government, and ultimately I am responsible for the government's operations. The government has a series of ministers, and ministers have technocrats and the whole public service, and we all have different roles to play.
Regarding the hundreds of families whose lives have been immensely affected due to the intense floodings, Dr. Rowley was confident those who needed help would get it.
I would be surprised if there are people who have not yet been contacted or who have not been reached by persons other than in their immediate family within their households. Because I have seen, and I do know, that there are a lot of efforts that have gone out there through local government and other agencies.
As it pertains to relief efforts, he explained there was only so much that could be done in the initial stages after such a disaster.
And when you have floods, while the water is either rising or is in place, there isn't much that you can do in cleanup. You have to wait until the water has drained off. And even as I was in Mafeking, those who had seen the water drained off had already begun cleaning out, and disinfectants and things were being distributed.
Dr. Rowley commended the private sector, which has also stepped in to offer relief where it's needed. Janine Brown, C News.